Thank you, Ketelo. All right, let's get started, everyone. Here is your first question. Here is your very first question. Oh, well, paper 2 topics, sorry. I thought we'd start here. Okay, so these are the topics that are normally covered in paper 2. I did see one paper say that they might ask probability again in paper 2, but I've never seen such a thing. So I'm not 100% sure where that may have come from, but I don't think that is a thing. I've checked all the national papers. None of them really have probability in them for paper 2. So you need to know for paper 2, statistics, analytical geometry, Euclidean, trigonometry, and you need to know measurement. All of them are quite important and all of them are asked in different ways. So we need to be able to do all of those. Okay. With that being said, here is the first question that we're going to go through. It is a trig question. I'm going to give everybody 2 minutes to draw a rough sketch of what you see on the screen, because in the next 2 minutes, I'm going to put up the questions and you won't be able to see the drawing. So everybody, you've got 2 minutes to draw this. Once you are done, pop me a done in the chat or an emoji in the chat to know that I can, so that I know that I can continue. Okay, take it away, guys. Well done, Naledi. That was super fast. Also because it doesn't have to be a work of art. You just need to be able to answer the questions using your drawing. Okay. So there's no need for you to now pull out a protractor and draw a 90-degree angle. It's not necessary. We just want a general depiction of what we're seeing on the screen. Ah, yes. Are your drawing skills as good as mine? That's a good question. Thank you, Teacher Nels. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. I'm the best artist out there. I mean, I'm just talented like that. What can I say?
To a side eye.
Oh, Keegan, yes, I am. I'm the best artist in this class. Oh, don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. Yes, me. Thank you, Enke. Thank you. All right, that's your 2 minutes up, folks. We're going to start on the questions given. Now, remember, we are looking at mark allocation. So everything in this particular question is with 1 mark. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've all got 5 minutes. We've got 5 minutes to finish up this question. So 5 minutes. When you are done with this, you can then tell me. You can pop your favorite emoji in the chat and we'll get going. But at exactly 5 minutes, it is now 1:06. At exactly 1:11, whether you are done or not, I'm going to continue with this answer. Keegan, we just spoke about that. We just spoke about being very quick with your drawings. You've got exactly 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's all the time I'm going to be able to afford you, Keegan. Everybody, it's now 1:07. So you've got until 1:12. Take it away. No worries, Funzo and Matavela, just get into the questions now. Unfortunately, you've only got 2 minutes.
Teacher Coco, Angela would like you to please go up so that she can take a screenshot. I know what she said.
We'll have to wait because we are actually, in fact, done with the question. And Enka, you're going to have to keep up with the pace because we don't have that much time today. So we're going to have to then wait for everyone to finish the question before you ask for a screenshot. Otherwise, you're going to disrupt everyone's flow. All right. Okay. First thing we're going to do before we even look into the questions, guys, is we're going to look at the information we've been given. Now, I can already tell from this that I've been given 2 different right-angled triangles. So whenever it is I'm working here, I'm 2 different right-angled triangles, but I've also been given 3 different angles. And we always know that step number 1, whenever we do trigonometry, is to always label. So we're going to always label in terms of the angle that we're working with, and we need to keep that in mind as we go along. So if they tell us that we need to find the ratio of sine alpha. Alpha is going to be our reference angle. That's our reference angle. Then if we label, this side over here is going to be our adjacent. So C is our adjacent side. The side all the way on the other side over there, that is our opposite side, and E is our hypotenuse. However, if we look at this from beta's side, from beta's perspective, this side over here to beta is its adjacent side. The side over there, opposite over there, that's the opposite for beta. And this side over here is the hypotenuse. Again, if we look at it from theta's perspective, D over here is the adjacent side. Theta, which is the hypotenuse for the other 2, now becomes the opposite side for theta, or E over here becomes the opposite side for theta, and this is the hypotenuse for that triangle. So we need to be very careful in our labeling to make sure that we are using the right triangle and the right perspective in each of these. Okay, let's start with sine alpha. Now we know we're going to grab our pencil or our pen and we're going to write a nice little SOHCAHTOA in the corner, so that we do not forget what we're looking for. Now, I've already done the labeling, so I'm not going to go over that again. So if I'm looking for sine of alpha, I know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. My opposite side would be B, and my hypotenuse would be E. So I will have B over E as my sine alpha. If I look for cos of alpha, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. That's going to be C over E. No, that looks like E over E. We're not doing E over E. C over E. All right, the next one says tan of beta. Now, beta is over here, and our ratio for tan is opposite over adjacent, so that's going to be C over B. C over B. And then for D, they want the cos of theta. So theta is over here. Our cos is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse, so D over A. D over A. And we're back to sine of beta there at the beginning. Sine again is opposite over hypotenuse, so C over E. C over E. Please pop in the chat your mark out of 5. Now remember, guys, because each of these questions is out of 1, you will only get a mark for accuracy. You cannot say, well, ma'am, if I said B over C, will they give me half a mark? No, you will get a full mark for getting the correct answer, even if the question we are doing requires us to do two steps. If the question is worth 1 mark, you need to get both steps correct in order to get that mark. It is an accuracy mark. Anything that is worth 1 or 2 marks is automatically accuracy. If something is worth 2 marks, you must get the whole thing correct in order to get your 2 marks. Otherwise, it's not correct. Okay, so we need to make sure that we are remembering to label first and then look at Sokatawa. Okay, so for those of you who are still confused, please make sure that you're taking all of this down and understanding where ma'am is coming from before I continue. All right, so 1 mark for each of them, and they both must be 100% accurate before we do. Okay. We're going to have to practice a little bit more. I will share this particular question paper with you guys. Teacher Nelly has also set a paper 2 for you guys as well, which Watobe would have sent to you. So you can practice with this one and the one that Teacher Nelly has sent. All right. Okay, let's look at the next question over here. Right, this question comes in 2 parts. Just have a look. I'm sorry, the printing is a little. Okay, so here's 1 over here and 2 is a little down here. So it's on the next page. So please make sure that you're doing both of these questions. They're with 4 marks. So you've got 4 minutes. Read through the question and answer the questions. Now, remember, you are allowed to use your calculator. As soon as they say answer the following to 2 decimal places, that means this is calculator work. So make sure that you've got your calculator near so that you can actually punch into your calculator what you need to. All right. You've got 4 minutes. It is now 1:17. You've got until 1:21. Go for it. All right, peeps, that's time. Let's look at the questions and what answers we should have gotten. All right, so this is basic calculator work. So all of you should be able to get this correct. Okay, again, it is a 2-mark question, so only accuracy will take into account here. So they're going to give you 1 mark for substituting and then 1 mark for the final answer. Okay, now if you substitute one of these things wrong or you write it out wrong, you're going to lose that mark. There's no way around it. You need to make sure that you're writing down the correct thing. So I need to write here 2 sine of a half. Now on your calculator, it's going to be very important that you click that multiply button. Multiplied by 39.5. If not, your calculator is going to give you an error, and that's not going to help. 39.5 plus tan of 125.4 minus 20. If you punch that into your calculator, you should get negative 2.95 as an answer. Okay, 1 mark for correct substitution, 1 mark for the final answer. All right. In question 2 over here, I know I'm going to put into my calculator, I'm going to click cos, and then because my calculator does not have a squared function, I first have to put in the value of the degrees and then click squared. So I need to say cos of 39.5 and then click squared minus sine of, open brackets, 125.4 and then click squared. And then your calculator will give you the answer that you're looking for, which is negative 0.07. Please make sure that you're rounding off appropriately. 1 mark for the substitution, 1 mark for the final answer. Please give me a mark out of 4 in the chat. Let's see how we all did, guys. Excellent. A walk in Switzerland. Well done, Mawandi. Beautiful. All right, let's move on because this is pretty easy. We should get, yes, Kamukelo, round off properly. Okay, we need to make sure that we're rounding off appropriately. So the number after 6 is 9. So that's going to change. That's going to change the 6 into a 7 because it was 0.069. That 9, they only want 2 decimal places. So we're looking for these 2 numbers. So 9 over here must change that 6 to 7. Okay. All right, here's your next 2 questions. Okay, there is the diagram. Everybody's got 2 minutes. You're either taking a screenshot of the diagram or you are drawing it very quickly. It doesn't have to be, sorry, it doesn't have to be an accurate description. You don't have to give us like an angle or anything like that. Look at everything that's been written on the page. It's very important. Then answer the question. Okay. Answer the question on the screen and then we'll have a chat. Spencer, the drawing is on the screen. And if you can't see the drawing, then we've got a big problem. We've got bigger problems than answering the questions. Okay, please DM Teacher Nelly and explain to her what it is that you're seeing on your screen. All right, that's all the time we're going to give. All right, so let's look at this one question over here. Now, okay. So the question that they're asking us to figure out here is determine the length of OP, and it's only worth 1 mark. But we know that from O to P, if I bring this down over here to my Cartesian plane, I know that the distance from there to there of X is 5, but because it's on the negative side, it's going to be negative 5. And my Y value will tell me the vertical distance. So this is over here is going to be 12. Now, if I want to find OP, I'm going to have to use Pythagoras. I'm going to have to use Pythag. Now, Pythag takes about 3 steps to do. However, this question is only worth 1 mark, which means the whole of Pythag needs to be done completely correct in order for you to get your 1 mark. If you miss a step somewhere and you miscalculate somewhere, even though you've used the correct method, you've written a minus instead of a plus, they will not give you the mark. They will not give you the mark. You need to have done it completely correctly. All right, so we're going to take, to find the radius, because OP is actually the radius, I'm going to write here, OP is equal to the square root of my X value, which is -5, all squared, plus my Y value, which is 12, all squared. If I put this into a calculator, then I should get that OP is the square root of 169, therefore OP is equal to 13. If you have used the distance formula, that's perfect. But Pascal, I'm curious as to which other value you used for the distance formula. If you use the origin, I can get that. Yeah, we probably did use the origin. Okay, so if you use the distance formula, that's fine. But yeah, that's fine. You're going to get the exact same answer, and do as little work as possible for that 1 mark. So all of this is worth 1 mark. Okay, which means by the time we get to grade 10, Pythagoras should not be difficult. Pythagoras is started in grade 7. So by the time you get to grade 10, Pythagoras should come naturally. That's why they're only going to award you 1 mark for it. You've been doing it for 3 years now. By your 4th year, you should be able to even see the Pythagoras answers without having to use Pythag at all. Okay. All right. Let's look at the next couple of questions. Okay. I want you guys to answer the whole of question B and the whole of question C. Okay. Oh, sorry. Questions 2, 3, and C. There's a B missing here. This should have been B. Question 1 and 2. I didn't label this correctly, but there we go. All right. Slay Queen, is this a question? Hello, Slay Queen. I hope it's a question.
Yes, it is a question, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm trying. So sorry for the one that I just missed, because I literally only arrived 2 minutes ago. Sorry, we were just determining the what's this, the angle thingy. Were we determining
determining the length of
and
OP.
Then, the length of P.
Yeah,
okay.
the length of
Sure.
OP.
Thank you.
That's all. Okay. All right, my sweetie, it's good to have you. Okay, let's get to work, peeps. Question B and C, please. No worries, no Mahlubi. Get straight into this question for me, please. 1 more minute. Okay, that's time, peeps. Let's get into the answers to these questions. All right, so whenever they ask us to do something without the use of a calculator and they don't give us an angle, we already know that they've given us the drawing and we're going to use the reference of this angle that we've got. Now, I've created a triangle over here already. So I know that I can use this triangle as my base. Now, I know that this over here is going to be where our angle theta gives us 180 minus theta. So the angle on the inside is also theta. Now, that means that this part over here is classified as my hypotenuse. The bottom over here would be my adjacent, and the 12 over here would be my opposite. So you have the option of either using SOHCAHTOA, as we normally do, or you can use shade your rear, cause X-rays, tan your exterior. You can use either of those. Because we're on the Cartesian plane, I'm going to use this second one over here that tells us that this over here is our X value, this is our Y value, and our radius, which we have just calculated for, is 13. All right, those are all the things that we've got, all the answers that we've got over there. So we're then going to put this in, and without a calculator, we're going to have to work with fractions. So you're going to have to get used to working with fractions, guys. Okay, sine of theta is going to be y over r. So my y value is 12 over 13 plus cos of theta, which is x over r, which is -5 over 13. -5 over 13. And then I can just do basic math. I have the same denominator, so I'm just going to go 12 minus 5, which should give me 8 over 13. Right, this is a 2-mark question. Again, substituting in the correct values for sine and cos, and an accuracy mark for the answer. If you get one of these steps wrong, you will get 0 marks. They will not give you the 1 mark in this particular case. So let's say, for instance, you write here 5 over 13 and your answer comes out as 17 over 13. It's wrong. Oh, my apologies, it's 7. Yes. Okay, also me, they didn't give me my marks because I wrote the wrong answer. So yes, they also didn't give me my 2 marks because I wrote the wrong answer. Sorry, guys. Okay, yes, correct. Okay, it is 7. I'm sorry, guys. Yes, I'm testing you, and you guys, you passed. Okay, you passed. All right, let's talk about 2 cos of theta and tan squared theta. Now, remember, we said that whenever we see a squared, when we see a squared, we first look for tan of theta, and then we square. Okay, no problem, Matavele. I'm going to do that now. All right, if I use SOHCAHTOA, this is going to be my opposite, this is going to be my adjacent, and this is going to be my hypotenuse. My answer is going to come out exactly the same, as we. Okay, I know that sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse, which is 12 over 13. And then cos of theta is going to be -5 over 13, adjacent over hypotenuse. And if I add these two together, they should give me 7 over 13. Matabela, did that help? I hope it did. Okay. All right, let's look at the next question over here. Remember that squared means that we must find tan of theta and then square the answer that we get there. So there's a bit more work to be done here. It's a 4-mark question. So you will get marks for method, for accuracy, and then for method, and then again for continuous accuracy. So all the steps need to work together. So let's start with 2 cos theta. I know that I'm going to get 2 multiplied by the answer I get for cos of theta. We know that cos of theta is -5 over 13, multiplied, look at that, it's a multiplied by tan of theta, which is opposite over adjacent. So I'm then going to have opposite over adjacent, all of that squared, because it's tan squared theta. All right, tan squared theta. So we're going to put this in, and Dorothy, I'm going to answer your question in just a little bit, okay? Thank you, Teacher Nels. Okay, Teacher Nels will handle that question. Then we're going to multiply. Remember, when we multiply fractions, I'm going to put this over 1. I'm going to multiply top, multiply bottom. 2 times 5 will give us negative 10 over 13. And then over here, because this is squared, I'm going to square the top number, square the bottom number, and then we're going to multiply again. Multiplied by 144 over 25. Okay. This is going to be a very ugly number. Teacher Nels, I didn't make a mistake, did I? I don't think I did. No. I think we're okay. Yes? Yeah. Okay, so at the top over here, we're going to get negative 1,440 over 25 times 13. 12 times 25. 12 times 25 would give us, is the same as 6 times 50. That's 300. 300 plus 25 is 325. Okay, 325. And because they're saying without a calculator, I'm assuming that you can leave your answer like this. Otherwise, it's going to take us forever to kind of make this a little bit simpler. So we're going to leave our answer there. Right. So 1 mark for that part, 1 mark for that part, 1 mark for method over here, and 1 mark for continuous accuracy over here. Right. So if we look at this next question over here, they say to us, without the use of a calculator, determine the value of, and then they give us the angle. And as soon as they give us the angle, but they tell us not to use a calculator, we automatically know we need our special angles. We need special angles. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the side of my page and I'm going to draw my 60-30 triangle, 60-30 right angle. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, root 3. And then I'm going to draw my 45 angle, my 45-degree angle triangle there, 1, 1, root 2. So those are the answers. Now, we need to be very careful. If you're using your special angle triangle, tan of 45 should come out as 1 over root 2. I'm lying. It shouldn't. It should even be 1. Or sine of 45. Sine of 45 would come out as 1 over root 2. If you give them sine of 45 as root 2 over 2, they're going to know that you used a calculator instead of your special angles. Because what your calculator does is it rationalizes the denominator, which is something you learn about in grade 11. So you need to be very careful that you're not using the answer that a calculator would give you rather than what they're looking for in your special angles. But then again, some of them you can do on a calculator. All right, so if we look at sine of 60, we're going to get root 3 over 2 plus cos of 30 is also going to be root 3 over 2 minus tan of 45 is opposite of adjacent, which is equal to 1. All right, if we add all of this together, we're going to get at the top over there, I'm going to get 2 times root 3 over 2 minus, if I rewrite 1 as a fraction that has a denominator of 2, I'm going to get 2 over 2, which is also the same as 1, right? So I'm then going to add the top and I'm going to keep my denominator. So I'm going to get 2 square root 3 minus 2, all of that over 2. And that's what your answer needs to look like. Okay. All right. Okay. 1 mark there, 1 mark for that one. Sorry. Line. 1 mark over there, 1 mark to that one, 1 mark to the final answer that you get. If I feel like I'll have to check my memo, but I think they will give you a mark for this answer as well. If you just left it as that, they should give you all 3 marks, but also you get a mark over there. So if you didn't make it to this step and you only gave them that answer, they will give you 2 marks, but you were going to have to take these 2 and add them together. So you should end up with 2 root 3 over 2, which should actually give us root 3. Am I correct, Teacher Nels? I'm the one who's lying here. I should get root 3 over 1. Yes, because 2 will cancel. Yeah. And 2 should have cancelled. Okay, so my answer over here is wrong. My answer here at the end shouldn't actually be that. This should be minus 1. My final answer should be root 3 minus 1. There's your final answer. There's your final mark there. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. All right. That is 3, that is 7, that is 9. Please give me your mark out of 9. Okay, Kimututu, which part? Faith, that's exactly the same thing, my sweetie. 100%. 100% the same thing. Okay. Yes, Kimututu.
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, number
Sweetie.
3.
Yes.
Number 3, like the square root of -5, I got -25, and you wrote +25.
Correct, because -5 times -5 is +25.
So it's same as like you factorized.
Yes, like if we are multiplying two negatives, they must give us a positive.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Siamtanda, what's up?
Ma'am, I just really wanted to ask about, like, can we go back to the Cartesian plane? I have a quick question about
Sure.
So basically, when we see these coordinates, do we immediately use -5, or do we have to change it to +5, or we just use it exactly like that?
It's always -5, because on the Cartesian plane, this side of my x coordinate is negative. If they had drawn this over here, we would tell a different story, right? Because on this side, my x's are positive, so I'd have +5. But they've drawn it specifically on this side to make sure that your x is negative and your y's are positive. You understanding what I mean?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so imagine, Siamtanda, if they had drawn it down here, my x would be positive, and what else would be, I mean, my x would be negative, and my y would also have to be negative, because my y's are negative down here. So this would have been -12. So we need to take it in perspective of the actual Cartesian plane, which part of it is positive, which part of it is negative. Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're very welcome. Good question. Very good question. All right, peeps. We are going to keep it moving. Right, we're going to skip the rest of trig. We're going to come back to it because I will be sharing this paper with you guys, so you're able to go through the questions yourself. The next question that we're going to go through is an analytical geometry question. Again, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to redraw this this question over here with all the information you've been given. Once you are done, just put a thumbs up in the chat or a done in the chat so that I can keep it moving. Otherwise, we're going to lose time. You've got 2 minutes, guys. All right, I think that's enough done's in the chat. I'm going to now show you the questions. Let's look again for the mark allocation. For this first question over here, I want to show you guys all the questions before we continue. I want you guys to answer these first few questions. Why did I not number these questions? All right, so we're going to number the A, B, C, and D. That's 3, 5, 7, 11 minutes. Now, these 2 mark questions are asking for things like the midpoint and for you to calculate for the gradient. So we're only going to treat these as 1 mark questions, which means I'm only going to give you 1 minute for each of those. So instead of 11 minutes, you have only got 8. You've got 8 minutes to answer this question. It is now 1:50. 1:50, you've got until 1:58. Pascal, 10 seconds for, what are we still doing? Yes, Bunke, it will be on the website. Okay, be very quick. All right, let's take it away. No, Catelo. The question says specifically to leave your answer in simplest surd form, which means you do not click SD. If it gives you an answer with a square root, you give them the answer with the square root in it. That is the surd. You do not click SD. Okay, we need to follow instructions exactly the way that we're seeing them here. All right. I'm just going to scroll up a bit for those of you who are already done, though there are the next few questions. I will keep scrolling up for those of you who are done. Keep going, and then we'll see where everybody else is at when we come back. Okay. Albert, when you say you can't see BS, do you mean the coordinates? Because we should have all taken them down by now. So I'm going to give you exactly 5 seconds to take a screenshot so that you can answer the question, but we should have all taken down the drawing at the beginning of the lesson. Okay, you've got 5 seconds. Okay. It's an hour and a half. Normally, we were going to finish at 2:30. All right, folks, that's time. Let's have a look at this first question that we've got over here. All right, so I just want to point out very quickly that there are about 3 of you who finished this 11-mark section in 3 minutes. And that is the sweet spot in mathematics. We want to be able to do things so quickly because we understand what we're doing. So in mathematics, we are never really interested in the answer. The answer is not what we're looking for. The answer is not what we want. What we want is the process. We want the process. So when we are looking at all of these questions, okay, when we're looking at all of these questions, what we want to actually do is we want to know exactly, Mawande, we need to know what it is we need to do in order to get to the answer. The answer is inconsequential. You're going to get there anyway. The point of this section is for you to understand how you get to the answer. And that is by knowing your formulae for analytical geometry. So if we're having trouble with this section, then we need to go and learn the formulae that are used in these questions, because there's not a single one of these analytical geometry questions that is beyond you. It's not, because wherever they say things like determine the length, you must know distance formula. So you must be able to incorporate distance formula. All we are doing is learning what it is that we need to know in order to answer the questions. Give me a thumbs up if what I'm saying makes sense. We need to understand the process, not the answer. The process, the answer is not the goal. The goal is the process that gets us to the answer, because that's where the marks are. Okay. Correct, Mawande, 100%. Okay, let's start with the length of HS. All right, so they say here, determine the length of HS, and that's going to require us to use the distance formula. We know that the distance formula is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 all squared plus y2 minus y1 all squared. So I'm going to go to point H and S, and I'm going to choose which one of these I'm going to name X and which one I'm going to name X1 and Y1 and X2 and Y2. I'm going to name this one X1, Y1, this value over here, X2, Y2. If you did it the other way around, you should get the exact same answer. There should not be a single difference in the answer that we get. So I'm going to get HS is equal to the square root of x2, which is 6 minus -4 all squared, plus y2, which is 1 minus y1, which is -1 all squared. Okay, now many of you are going to try and rationalize this, do this up and down, do this up and down. No, punch this into your calculator exactly the way you see it and give us an answer. Okay, don't go around being like a negative and a negative will give us a positive over here. We have a 10 over there. We have a 2. No, punch it into your calculator exactly the way you see it. Give us an answer. That's all. Okay, the answer that I get out is 2 root 26. Now, this instruction, same one that we were talking about earlier, when it says leave your answer in simplest surd form, means do not click SD. Do not click SD. Don't. Give them the answer with the square root in the answer. So you say that HS, therefore HS is equal to 2 root 26. Don't do that. All right. Okay, next question says, determine M, the midpoint of BS. So now you need to know, teacher Nelson, don't laugh. I know why you're laughing. Don't laugh. Okay. Okay. So we are going to use the midpoint formula. Again, it's nothing to do with the answer itself. It's nothing to do with the answer itself. It's about you knowing what the midpoint formula is. We know that the midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 over 2, open brackets 1, oh, then y1 plus y2 squared, I mean semicolon, right? Okay, teacher Nels, Pascal, can I ask you to just DM Pascal quickly? I think he's having a bit of a problem with his calculator. Catelo, you'll be given the formulas, but you'll be surprised. When people finish this section in 3 minutes, it's because they already know the formulas up here and they're not busy flipping through their paper to find the answers. Okay, Dorothy, I'm going to have a conversation with you right after this lesson. Okay, you are given the formulas, but yeah. And Kimukluku makes a very important point, right? That when we look for the midpoint is also a set of coordinates. So we should get an X value and a Y value also, because we're looking for the coordinates of that. All right, so I'm going to, again, choose whatever X1, Y1 you want. We already have that one for S, so I'm going to keep it there. I'm going to name this one X2 and Y2. Right, then we're going to substitute. I'm going to get that the midpoint will give me X1, which is -4 plus 8 over 2, and Y1 is -1 plus 11 over 2. That means that my midpoint is -4 plus 8 is 4, divided by 2 is 2, and -1 plus 11 is 10, divided by 2 is 5. Okay, so the coordinates of M, immediately once you find the coordinates, go to the drawing and put them in 2 semicolon 5, so that they're already there when you need to do it, when you need them again for a different question. Okay, last question here, it says, determine the equation of a straight line passing through M and H. Now you have your 2 points. We know that the equation of a straight line, especially in analytical geometry, comes in 2 ways. Okay, you can do y is equal to mx plus c, or you can do y minus y1 is equal to m, open brackets, x minus x1. In both of these, we still need to find the gradient. We must find m. So we need to say m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We need to find that. And again, relabel everything. That one is already x2 and y2. So I'm going to name my m, x1 and y1, and I'm going to substitute to find my gradient. Now I know that my gradient is going to equal to 1 minus 5 over 6 minus 2. If I don't get a negative answer, I've done something wrong. Because this graph has a MH has a negative gradient, I must get a negative answer for my gradient. I'm going to get -4 over 4, and therefore my gradient should be -1. Okay. All right. Good. So we can then substitute in our value for the gradient. So I will then get y is equal to negative 1x plus c. And in order to find c, I'm going to sub in any of those 2 points. You can choose either m or h. It doesn't matter. You can sub in any of those to find c. Okay, I'm going to use 2, 5, which is, it's inconsequential. It doesn't matter. So I know my y value is 5. So I'm going to get 5 is equal to negative 1 multiplied by 2 plus c. That's going to give me 5 is equal to negative 2 plus c. If the negative 2 goes over to the other side, it becomes positive 2. Therefore, my c value is equal to 7. And I'm realizing my handwriting is getting very, very messy. So I'm going to need to formulate a structure here. Okay, so my answer that I should get for the equation of my straight line is y is equal to negative 1x or just negative x plus 7. I have not forgotten c, teacher Nels. I've just calculated for it. Okay. All right. Are we okay there? Find c, sub in a point, and I subbed in the 0.25. Okay. All right. Before we continue, give me your mark out of 11. Let's just look at mark allocation. Okay. Up top here for this, you are going to get a mark for knowing to use the distance formula, for putting in the correct values and the final answer. That's your 3 marks. The midpoint, 1 mark for the correct substitution over there, 1 mark for the final answer. All right. In this one, oh, I skipped a question. Oh, yes, teacher Nels, I see what you mean. I skipped C. All right. So it says, show that the gradient of BS is equal to 1. Okay. So the gradient of BS is equal to, thank you, teacher Nels. When you said C, I thought you meant the constant in the equation of the straight line, which is not the idea here. All right, let's look at the gradient of C quickly. They already named y2 and y1 and x2 and x1. So I know that the gradient is going to be my y2 value, which is 11 minus negative 1 over 8 minus negative 4. 11 minus negative 1 is the same as 11 plus 1, which would give me 12 over 8 plus 4, which would also give me 12, and that is equal to 1. Again, there are your 2 marks, correct substitution, correct answer. All right, for this final one over here, you're going to get 2 marks, 1 for calculating, 1 mark for calculating, for subbing in for your gradient, 1 mark for the answer of your gradient, 1 mark for finding C, and 1 mark for your final answer. All right. So for those of you who got 11 out of 11, well done. For the rest of you, please just let me know if those marks that you've missed, is there a particular part of those marks that you didn't get that you're not 100% sure about? Okay, if there is, this is now the time to ask a question, because we're about to move on from this section. Okay, no questions? Okay, that's fine, Kamogelo. Okay, in this case, you are at home and you are allowed to open up your book, and you can then use the formulas from your book if you've got them. All right. Somebody's saying, I don't understand D. Keegan, where did I lose you? You need to explain to me where I lost you there. Okay, because it's the basic equation of a straight line that we know from functions as well. Y is equal to mx plus c. We just need to find our m value and we need to find our c value. Okay, Farin, there is a formula for midpoint. Okay, there's a particular formula that we use for the midpoint. Remember the midpoint of any 2 places. Let's say, for instance, I'm at 2 kilometers and I want to get to 10 kilometers. Right, to find the midpoint between these 2 points, I'm going to say 2 plus 10 divided by 2. 2 plus 10 is 12 divided by 2 will give me 6 kilometers, right? So that's the idea behind the midpoint formula. What we're going to do is take our x values, add them together and divide by 2. And that's where we get the formula x1 plus x2 divided by 2 for the x coordinate. And then for the y coordinate, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And so we just take those values, substitute them in, and then get the final answer for the midpoint. Am I making sense? Okay, got it? All right, excellent. Okay, I'm going to share this paper with you guys at the end of the lesson. So the rest of the paper, you are more than welcome to do. For those of you who managed to finish, well done. For the rest of you, you've got a bit of work to do in this particular question. Buntle, this is not the last boot camp. We will still have one. We will still have one more lesson for boot camp next week. Okay. Okay. Here's the next question. It says here, quadrilateral PQST is not drawn to scale. Again, you've got 2 minutes to draw this quadrilateral, and then you can answer the questions that follow. Okay, 2 minutes, guys. Take it away.
Ma'am, I have a question about the drawing. Isn't side QS supposed to be equal?
Does it say that?
No, ma'am.
It probably should be. Give me 1 second. Let me double check. It probably should be. It's probably just my my thing here. Let me just double check for you. Yes, you're correct. 100%. Yeah, sorry guys. I think the drawing might just be a little out of whack. Yes, Ntanda, well done. This side must also be equal. Okay. No, no, I'm lying. No, it's not. Hold on. Let me see something. Am I even looking at the right question? Guys, give me a second. No, not at all. No, Siamtanda. The drawing is correct. Is correct. I thought I made I put the question together incorrectly. No, the question is correct. Exactly the way it looks. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right. We should be done by now, though. Okay, let's start by answering the question that we've got over here. Identify the type of question, the quadrilateral, and fill in the missing angles. All right. So I'm going to give everybody exactly 3 minutes to answer these two questions. I know I'm supposed to give you 4 minutes, but the first one you should be done with it in 10 seconds. So I'm only going to give you 3 minutes to answer this one that says fill in all the missing angles, and then we'll talk about that. All right, go for it. Pascal, all of them. Not just the ones on the top, all of them. All of the angles. All right, that's time, folks. Let's have a quick chat about this. And I know that some of us may have classified this quadrilateral incorrectly, but we need to make sure that we're understanding what kind of quadrilateral we've got over here. All right, so first question says, identify the type of quadrilateral. This is a rhombus. It must be very, very specific, okay? It is a rhombus, not a parallelogram, as most of you would assume, because a parallelogram, in a parallelogram, this side would have to be equal to that side. But that's not the case over here. In this particular drawing, this side is equal to the one on the side, which means that the sides on each of those sides are equal to each other. It is not a parallelogram. Even though a rhombus is a parallelogram, you need to be very specific what kind of parallelogram. So it is a rhombus and not a parallelogram itself. Okay, teacher Nels, just let me know, can you hear the lightning alarm in the background?
No.
No, okay, excellent. The lightning alarm is on outside my house here. So I thought maybe we'd be able to hear it, but that's perfectly fine. All right, okay, now it says fill in the missing angles. Now, we all know, if you have been with ma'am since the very beginning of the year, we will know that as soon as we see parallel lines, what should we be thinking? What is the first thing that should come to our minds when we see parallel lines? Correct. User must be Nico, yes. Not same length, fun angles. We must be thinking fun angles, Mawande. Fun angles. Okay, so it's important for us to remember our fun angles would be your corresponding, your co-interior, and your alternate angles. And that's how we're going to solve for all the missing angles in this particular thing. Now, I can already tell there's a Z here like that. So I know that that's going to give me an answer somewhere, right? There's another Z that is going to incorporate that 70. Because we know that it's a rhombus, we're going to then, there we go, like that. We're then going to look at incorporating the teacher Nels, help me out here. The properties of a rhombus. My brain is switching off. Yes, the properties of a rhombus. So if this angle over here is 70 degrees, that one over there is also 70 degrees. Okay. P is also equal to 70, but not the whole of P, Funzo, only a little bit of P. Which other angle can we look for? In a rhombus, we know that if they've given us that this angle over, or this side over here is equal to this side over here, we know that this angle over here for T needs to be equal to this angle, and that one over there needs to be equal to that one. TPS, yes, teacher Nels, TPS is equal to 70, yes. Now we know that this over here, this angle is going to be X, that one is also going to be X, they're going to be equal because this particular triangle that they've given us over here is a 90, not a 90-degree angle, it's a isosceles triangle. So those two must be equal to each other. Now, Nico is saying QPS is equal to 20, but that is not the case, Nico. That's not the case because we do not know if this was equal to 20, then this would have to be a right angle. And at the moment, we don't know that is actually a right angled triangle. Okay. What we do know is that this side over here and that side over there needs to be equal to each other because this is a rhombus. We will have uniformity, which means this side over here and that side over there will also be equal to all the other sides. Okay, so what we're going to be missing are those two angles over there as well. Funzo is saying that Q is equal to 70, the whole of Q. How? Explain. Okay. 1 second, my computer is just being finicky. Just give me a second, guys. I need to stop sharing screen because my thingy. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second. My pen isn't working, so just bear with me. I just need to close. I need to close my OneNote, reopen it, and then reshare it. Give me a second. Okay, it's not coming up. Okay. Okay, there it is. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat, everyone, if you can see my screen now. Excellent. Okay. All right. So, sorry, this is me waiting for the lightning alarm to go past because it's very annoying. Okay, so we don't know what this angle over here is, but we do know that those two angles are not going to be equal to each other. So we're going to name this part over here Y. We don't know what it is. And because this is also alternate angles, we're also going to name this one over here Y. Okay. We're going to name both of them Y. Now I'm going to work in each triangle, okay, together, but I also know that both triangles put together should give me 360 because the interior angles of a quadrilateral should give us 360. Also, the smaller triangles inside the quadrilateral should give us 180. So if I put all of these, the whole of Q is equal to 90. I don't think so, Matabele. That's not going to be the case. Okay, so if I work in triangle PQR, or PQT, in triangle PQT, I'm going to get that 70 plus Y plus 2X is equal to 180 degrees. And then I know that in the other triangle as well, I should get 70 plus Y plus 2X is equal to 180 degrees. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for Y in this first one that we've got over here. Okay, so I'm going to take everything else, move it over to the other side. Okay, and I'm going to leave Y on this side all by itself. So I would get Y is equal to 180 degrees minus 70. Okay, Kamukelo, let's see if you're correct. Minus 70 minus 2X. That is what Y is going to give me. So I'll have Y is equal to 110 minus 2X. 110 minus 2X. Now, this second equation over here also has a Y. So I'm going to then take this Y that I've just put over here and I'm going to substitute it into this Y that we've got over here. All right, so we should end up with 70 plus this, because this is now Y. So 70 plus 110 minus 2X plus 2X is equal to 180. And I've just gone around in a circle and I don't know what is going on. What have I missed? Teacher Nels, what have I missed? We've got 5 minutes. Because what's going to happen is those two are going to cancel. And what I've basically said is 180 is equal to 180. Let me check my memo.
But what I know is like the rhombus, like the opposite angles are equal, right?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
And if these sides are equal and isosceles, and then you don't have the other one. Maybe if we use the two triangles, let's say x plus x, 2x plus 70 plus y will be equals to 180.
That's what we've got, yes.
Okay. You already did that.
Yes, we did. Now the problem is finding that other angle of what did I do?
Maybe you shouldn't have said like y, that maybe s, between s and p, don't use the same, y is yy. Maybe the other one could be another letter.
The problem is they'll have to be the same letter because of alternate angles.
Okay, if 70 minus y is equals to 180 minus 2x, and then 70 minus y is also equals to 70 plus y is equals to 180 minus 2x, and the other 70 plus y is also will be equals to the other 70 plus y, which will be also 180 minus 2x.
It's going to give us the same answer. It's going to give us 2x is equal to, no, 2y, 180 minus 2x is equal to 180 minus 2x, which is counterintuitive. It will give us the same thing over and over. Okay, I need to go double check the memo to see exactly what's happened here. Give me a second. Okay. Yes, Mawande, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I've left one of the angles behind. But no, I have not. No, I haven't.
What if we use co-interior angles? 70 plus y.
Yes, it might not work either, especially because we are missing something. No, okay. I think I'm being an idiot. Give me a second. Okay, if we know that the opposite angles of a right angle triangle are
Equal.
But we don't know how much they're equal to. No, I'm not lying to myself. Okay, I'm going to have to send the memo once we're done here, because I now need to find this paper and see what I've done.
Maybe we know that the diagonals bisect at 90. If we assume like this is like maybe O1 or
teacher now, yes, 100%. Ooh, guys, teacher Nelly for the win, guys. The diagonals of a rhombus are 90 degrees. So this triangle over here will allow us to solve for x, which means x is equal to 20 degrees. Thank you, teacher Nelly. Thank you. I completely forgot about that. Yes, thank you. The diagonals of a rhombus will give us 90 degrees in the middle. It's not there because you need to classify it as a rhombus. Mawande, that's your job. You need to classify this as a rhombus. So when you get that this is a rhombus as a shape, you can then conclude that this is 90 degrees because that is the properties of, that's one of the properties of a rhombus. So we can actually solve for x here, guys. We can. Okay, let's solve for x. Yes, it's one of the properties of a rhombus. Now, we've got the triangle here, QOS. Yes, I also, Mawande, it just like slipped my mind. Triangle QOS. In triangle QOS, x plus 90 degrees plus 70 must equal 180. And our reason is angle sum in triangle. Angles inside a triangle. Therefore, x must equal to 20 degrees. And there we go. Teacher Nelson solved that problem for us. Thank you. Thank you very much. So this side over here will be 20 degrees. That will also be 20. So all the corners of our triangles will be 20. And now if we know what x is, we can solve for y. 20 degrees, 20 degrees. Sure, I don't know what I'm going to do about this. All right, so in that case, then we can solve for y. We know that y is going to be 70 degrees because of that 90-degree angle as well. So this is going to be y is equal to 70 degrees there and 70 degrees there. Thank you, teacher Nelly. All right,